Hello and good evening. Welcome back, everybody. It is 9 p.m. where I am. I have had a long, nice weekend. So it's a little bit later than planned this week. I'm joining you to do a breakdown of the charts ahead of the week. What week are we on now? We're heading into week 35 of the year, which is crazy. Tomorrow will be the 24th of August, and it is the final week of the month, which means we are over halfway through Q3, which again is crazy. Time is flying. If you're watching on Substack, welcome back. If you're watching on my YouTube channel, Kairos Talents Trading, welcome back. So, like I said, I am in the process of doing these weekly market breakdowns to just show you how I look at the charts, how I prepare for the week ahead. And let's just get straight into it. So as you can see, I always start with the DXY, which is the dollar index. This just helps me to gauge the direction of the dollar pairs that I trade. Of course, it's important to know which direction or understand which direction the dollar itself is heading in for risk on, risk off purposes. When you see the dollar going down, it usually means that people are willing to take more risks. They're taking their money out of the dollar and put it into riskier investments. It's the easiest way I can kind of put it, and we'll get into that later into this breakdown because it'll be interesting to look at. But yeah, start on the weekly. I always do top down analysis from the weekly all the way down to the 1 hour. So you can see that last week was hugely bearish. Let's get my pen out. So we started here where we can see price was kind of ranging for a couple of weeks. 2 doji candles the previous 2 weeks. Doji candle is the definition of a doji candle is just indecision. The market hasn't made its mind up which way to go, but it was very telling that there were 2 pin bars there that tried to push above the July lows and failed. So they were kept down, and then after the 2 failures the week prior, price just moved down there, which we saw last week. So let's go down to the daily, and we'll see more closely what happened if it decides to load. So on the daily, we see it was on, when was that? So that was on Wednesday that price decided to break out of the range finally and head down. Let's go straight down to the 4 hour. Okay. So this is a lot more clearer what was happening on the 4 hour. So if I just go back, because this would have been, at the time, I would have been looking at this as support. And it's interesting because when I was looking at this as support, I took a trade on pound dollar and got caught out, which I'll get into later. But you'll see this dotted line here is the low of the month for July. And usually the low of the month is going to form a support or resistance level. So here it was forming support there, tried to break down below there, didn't, and then moved back up, formed support again there, popped back up above the highs. So price is just ranging at this point, and then we get a significant break below. I thought that at the time when I saw that, I thought, okay, price has swept these lows here, which I was looking at last week. You can go back and see the market breakdown from the previous week where I was talking about that being a possibility. But then as price came up, this was the test. Could price break back above this monthly high? No, it didn't. It found resistance right there, and then that caused that break below. So what I'm looking at for this week, the reason for this purple box here, this purple rectangle, is just a Fibonacci retracement, which I've noticed that it's an implied support level or resistance level, whichever direction price is going in. And then we've got in line with that, we've got a higher time frame support level. So I keep it simple. A lot of people think that you have to have all these complex kind of concepts, but support and resistance has been around for years, and it does work. So if I go down to the 1 hour, what am I kind of expecting for the week ahead? It's interesting because what I'm looking at here is we've had this movement, which is a clear bearish impulse, but now we'll see that price has had what's called a change of character. So we've gone from a bearish trend to moving sideways, change of character, and it looks as already like price is creating kind of an accumulation schematic. And it's interesting because I've written an article which comes out on Monday. So tomorrow, we're talking on Sunday at the moment. The article will come out tomorrow, and it's about accumulation and distribution. So I'm expecting I'm going to look at this very carefully and see if there is some sort of accumulation schematic that forms here, and then pushes up for a reversal. Because on the weekly chart, the weekly EMAs do show that price is still in a bullish trend. And if I zoom back out, because this is what I spoke about on last week's market breakdown, so I zoom back out to the weekly, and this is why I like to use the higher time frames all the way down to the lower. I would be expecting price, if it is going to continue bullish, because I was speaking about the fact that there's a low here, and then price has made a higher high, a higher low, a higher high. And if the bullish trend is set to continue, you could expect a higher low to be formed in this area here. And for that to start with an accumulation schematic on the lower time frame would make a lot of sense. Also, I see that this low right here has already been taken. So there's lows that have been taken there. So I'll just see what happens. I expect price will move sideways on Monday and Tuesday, because there's CPI on Wednesday. And usually when there's red news announcement for the dollar, not always, but price will move sideways for Monday and Tuesday, and then the volatility will hit on Wednesday. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at on the dollar. Let's go to the yen basket. Interesting one. So the yen basket had this huge push up, as we saw at the end of July, but then at the top of this range, price failed to hold here. But more importantly as well, or just as importantly, it failed to hold above the July level here. So at the moment, price, oh, my bad. At the moment, price just continues to move down on the weekly. Again, if this is not a false move, because price can easily just have a false breakout and then continue to move lower. But if this is a genuine kind of attempt at a reversal, which it could be, and the reason I say it could be is, again, we've gone from, on the higher time frames, we've gone from price trending down bearishly, and we've had a change of character where price is now moving sideways. So because price has been so bearish on the Japanese yen for such a long time, you'd expect for a long sideways movement to be created before a true reversal to the upside happens. So I'll be looking for some sort of, again, accumulation within here. And if this forms so we've had this break of structure, right? This change of character, very bullish price action, correction, and then if price again forms a higher low here, and then continues to break that high, we might be just looking at the yen for a long-term reversal or at least a deeper pullback. Why do I look at the yen? In terms of, I don't trade it, but what I do is I look at it as a negative correlation, or it's inversely correlated to Aussie yen, which I do trade. So I'll look at the yen to see what that's doing, and then I'll look to do the opposite on the Aussie yen for a trade. So on the 4-hour, there's nothing much to see. What was interesting is that last week there was this price movement up from support, swept to these highs, and then you'll see price just collapsed down, down through that key level, which I now need to change into, that's now higher time frame resistance. And I just make sure I've got my alert set for next week. So I always set alerts just so I know when price is in a key area, and that's when I need to pay attention. So higher time frame resistance, save, and then make sure I've got an alert for here as well, which would be higher time frame support. Higher time frame support. Yeah, cool. Okay, so any kind of bullish movement in this area here, I will keep my eyes on what's happening on Aussie yen, which I'll come to in just a moment. Zoom back out to the weekly and head over to Bitcoin, because this was interesting. Bitcoin, as I'm sure some of you are, or a lot of you are aware, had a massive move last week. Interesting because the EMA still shows bearish price action. All of these, this would have been resistance level. I've already changed them to support, and then price again found resistance at this intraday resistance level here. But as we can see, lows were taken. There was a range. Let's see, where are we here? June. So from June all the way, so we've had a 2-month, June, July, August, 2 months, 3 months, almost 3 months of a range. And then when you see a long range and then that explosive candle, that's the effect. Let's go down to the lower time frames. I actually did attempt to take a trade here. Let's go down to the 4-hour. It'll be a lot clearer. So, right. So as I spoke about, if you looked at my breakdown last week, I wasn't keen on trading within this range here because price was looking a bit choppy. But I did say that I would be happy to take longs from this kind of discount area if I see some sort of move up above this equilibrium, which I did. Go down to the 1-hour. So this is what I was looking at on Bitcoin last week. So what caught my eye is that all of this down here is what's called as discount. It's a discount level, which means you've got premium, which you'd sell, discount, which you'd buy, and then equilibrium, where price ranges. So as price pushed up here, broke. So we've got a break of structure there, break of structure here. And if you look at the price action here, it starts to kind of expand, become very bullish. Correction, expansion again. And what I was looking at is, okay, right, there's a support level here that has been broken. So resistance is broken. I'm looking at a retest of that support level and a clean out of these lows here. So I actually set long orders for this trade, and I'm still a little bit annoyed about it, I'm not going to lie, because I set long orders right here. Yeah, there it is. I believe it was on Wednesday. So yeah, Wednesday morning, I see price tracking, correcting back here, correcting, and I'm like, okay, I'll go longer support. I've got lows and a support level. I'll set longs there. So set my buy orders, go away from the charts. About half an hour later, I get an alert to say that my buys have been filled. It's just a trading view alert. But then I take one look at the charts. I see this wick here, this 1 hour wick, and I'm like, oh no, okay. Prices moved so quickly and rejected that level. I don't know if I'll have a fill. I went to my broker. That had not been filled. So if I go down to the lower time frames, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about when it loads. So give it a moment. So yeah, so what had happened is price had moved so aggressively and so quickly back into that level with this wick that, and it's just part of the game. Like it's annoying, don't get me wrong, but do you see how aggressive that wick is right there? Come straight back down. It must have spent no time there at all. In fact, I think I looked at the 1 minute chart and there was price barely even touched that zone before it just rejected and went straight off. So on TradingView, it had told me that I was in the trade because I obviously set alerts to let me know when my orders had been filled. But went to my broker and it hadn't been filled. And from that moment, price just did not look back. And yeah, you can imagine I was, oh man, it was, yeah, it's just part of trading. It was not nice to just watch price absolutely rocket. But I did say the previous week, I don't trade Bitcoin often. I look for really high probability setups. And this is the way I trade in general. I just look for really high probability setups because when you find them and if you get into them, price just absolutely, it just flies. Like you look here, that is a huge move. I mean, you can trade within this range. You can trade once the range is delineated, you can sort of go short and then you can go long. It's a lot harder because range in price action is is choppy and you can just get whipsawed in and out. But that right there, I mean, these are the type of moves that they can make your, yeah, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that these kind of moves can make a year. Like at its at its at its highest point, that's a 32 to that's a 32 to 1 trade. You know, if you're only risking 1% of your account and you catch even 2/3 of that, that's a 20% trade in one go. And that's why I trade Bitcoin. Also, I could see that there was liquidity above this level and this level. These equal highs had been left and there was liquidity here. So I did say last week that if I was to go long, looking for longs on Bitcoin, I'd take the first portion of the trade off there because that's a monthly level. That was the high of the month for July. So take a portion off the trade there. And I find that once I take a portion of the trade off, I become less attached to the remainder of the position that's running. So it just allows me to allow the rest of the position to play out easily or more easily with less of an attachment to the position because I've already banked to win. So the remainder of whatever is on the trade, I just let it run because these are the kind of outliers, that the outsized trades that I'm looking to catch. And these come, they can come once a month. If I'm trading 5 instruments, so yeah, 4 Forex pairs, 1 Bitcoin, these are the kinds of, I'm looking to catch 1 or 2 of these a month because when you do, like I've said, written a post about it, there's no need for day trading. But that was a shame because that would have been a beautiful trade, should have been. But it's part of trading. You win some, you lose some, and some you can do everything right, and still things don't go in your favor. That would have sent me on tilt a couple of years ago, maybe not even a year ago. That had definitely sent me on tilt. But I just looked at it on Wednesday, and I literally took Thursday off because I knew I wasn't in a good frame of mind. That's when you start doing revenge trading and trying to do silly things because I wasn't involved in the trade that I should have been involved in. And it's just experience. After 8.5 years, I know that I'd probably be trying to force positions to make up for this one that I wasn't actually in. So yeah, took Thursday off. I don't really trade on Friday anyway. But yeah, that's on the positive side. It's like, yeah, I pretty much caught the low of the week. Would have been catching the low of the week. We'll just put that back on the charts. So if I move that out and then zoom out to the weekly, you'll see this is my whole trading plan. Or my goal is to be catching the weekly candle, or my goal is to be catching the at least kind of 30, 40, 50%, or if I'm reading price really well, 90% of what the weekly candle can do. Now, those type of weekly candles don't come along that often, but when they do, you're catching big percentages. So yeah, it would have been near the low of the week there. But onto a new week and new opportunities. Let's go to Aussie yen and see what happens. So this is interesting price action because you can see, we zoom in, price is in a higher time frame bracket or range, delineated at the top of the range here, bottom of the range here. So we can clearly see that price rejected that level ever since then, has just been correcting back up. Well, not even correcting, it's just been retracing that whole move. It's normal for yen pairs to do that. If you look at the yen pairs, they don't hang around at levels sometimes. They just reject, move, and then just carry on going. But it's interesting to see that price is again back at resistance. So I'll be watching this very carefully. Also, the fact that we've got so many monthly highs here. I think the high of the month for April is here. I'm pretty sure the high of the month for May is here as well somewhere. Yeah, high of the month there for May. We've got high of the month there for June, and high of the month for July. So maybe this is the high of the month. We could have the high of the month for August forming in here. We don't know, but I'll be watching price action pretty carefully, especially when I consider that if we go back to the yen basket, especially that when I consider the yen may form a higher low in this region. And if that happens, price could go on a nice run, taking that high out to confirm that the yen might be turning around, which means Aussie yen could be moving to the downside. But like I said, this is where I start to watch price very carefully. I probably wouldn't want to be taking buys, but it's a difficult one because when I look at this chart and I look at where liquidity is, I see liquidity above this high. There and there, that's where liquidity is resting. But we'll see. If I go down to the 4-hour, price is obviously broken above that resistance level, so that's now support. But if I see, where's the ghost feed? Let's have a look if I can find that. Forecasting fast pattern. So I took a short in here, which was a really nice trade. So if I take that, if I see anything like this again, if I see any price action like that, I'll be going short. Any price action like that at the monthly levels, like it was, over here, that's a distribution pattern right there. And if I see anything the opposite, if I see accumulation on the yen basket, then I'll be watching Aussie yen very closely to go short, because last month, was it the beginning of this month? End of July, took a short right here, and that was a lovely move, held it through, and that was a nice move. So got my eyes on Aussie yen. There's a lot of price action still to print before I would be doing anything, but I'll be watching that closely. Let's move to euro pound. Euro pound. This one's interesting to me, man. Right. Because, why do I say it's interesting? So, price is really struggling to do anything above this resistance level here. We've got pin bar after pin bar. 1, 2, 3, and 4 pin bars in a row. That to me says price is trying to move higher, but the bears are in control, pushing price back down. That's on the weekly. Let's go to the daily. Also, one thing I've noticed since I've started marking in the highs and the lows of the month is that sometimes during the last week of the month, you get really big moves. It's almost as if price is going to finish whatever it's looking to do. It's going to finish off what it's doing in the last week. But, we'll see. I don't want to make any assumptions. It's just when you're trading, your job is technically is pattern recognition, right? So I like to notice patterns, not guess them, but I'm always asking myself, what is price doing? What are the things that repeat? And this is why I trade the weekly candle. I trade the weekly range, because when you look at how the weekly candle is formed and the patterns that happen on particular days or particular times and particular sessions, you're able to kind of expect what will happen. So I know that I can ride the weekly candle all the way till, if I catch a good move on a Monday or a Tuesday or even a Wednesday, I can ride the weekly candle to Thursday or Friday, hoping to catch the majority of that move. But anyway, back to euro pound. I do like the look of euro pound. I've been watching this one. If you go back and look at my other week breakdowns, I've been watching this for a while, but nothing's presented itself. There was a move in here that I wasn't keen on. Well, I was keen on, but I'll go into it when I go to the lower time frames. But what I can see is there's equal highs above here as well. So liquidity resting above those equal highs. There. So I'm aware of that. But again, on the higher time frames, price has been rejecting that level. So it's unable to break and hold above. And then these lows here just looks prime for price to just break those lows. 4 hour. And of course, price, as I said, we can see price was uptrend, was in an uptrend. And then we've had this change of character where price moves sideways. And again, if you check out my article that's coming out tomorrow about accumulation and distribution, this is something key to look out. All that's happening is prices, again, winding up, building a cause for the effect. And the effect, obviously is going to be price is going to expand up or it's going to expand down. And that's what I'm looking for on the lower time frames. I'm just looking for clues on the lower time frames, on the 1 hour or the 15-minute, to gauge which direction price is most likely to move in. But you can see, as we can see, price has kind of been pretty choppy. Last week I did say that I would probably look to short around somewhere around here, but as price moved up, this was Monday, London Open. I'm not keen on trading. This is just me personally. I'm not very keen on trading the Monday London Open, just because I like to have a bit more information on which direction price is likely to be going in. If that had been New York, I would have taken that short, but as we can see, it didn't hold anyway. Price just continued to kind of chop around and then moved up later in the week. So I stayed out of euro pound, looking for something a little bit cleaner, and I'll just be watching carefully to see what price does. Let me set an alert here because I know I haven't got one on it. Intraday support level. Yeah, okay. So yeah, euro pound, my suspicions are a short, but I will wait for more information on the lower time frames. Pound, sorry, euro, dollar, euro, dollar. It's looking very bullish, but that's last week. So price broke above the July level here and pushed through multiple resistance levels to close quite strongly for the week. What I'm looking at as well is liquidity resting above this high here has been taken. I can see as well, I can see here that there is some sort of resistance level. I'm going to go to the monthly and mark in a resistance level here because looks like there is one. Yeah, right there. Okay, weekly, tidy it up. So yeah, I always derive my higher time frame levels from the monthly and the weekly chart. Mainly the weekly, but sometimes it's easier to see. Sometimes when it's not clear to see on one time frame, if I go to another one, I can see that I can see it more clearly. So yeah, there's a resistance level in there. Let's tidy that up. Delete, 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 and that is higher time frame resistance. 50, 80. Cool. All right, and then let's set an alert for that. So if price taps into there, higher time frame resistance. So again, yeah, simply just marking in resistance levels and seeing if there are any signs of a reversal pattern. But for now, price looks still pretty bullish. What did the EMAs? EMAs are approaching a bullish crossover as well. So I don't use EMAs to trade specifically, but I do use EMAs to see what the long-term trend is doing. So we can see that price was very bearish with these EMAs, but we're approaching a bullish crossover here. Approaching a bullish crossover and having a bullish crossover are two different things. But let's go down to the 4 hour, see what's happening. Right. Okay. So again, what I see here is clear expansion. So price started off here last week. We have the low of the week, which was formed on Sunday. Market open right there, expanded and then moved sideways, expanded massively again from support, moving sideways. Okay. I don't like the way, well, when I say I don't like, this is not an area that I'd be looking to kind of, trade in as price just moves sideways, kind of in the middle of, I call it no man's land. There's not enough, I try not to trade price when it's not at a key level. I try and trade from a key level. So in here to another key level down here, or, from here up to there, you get the drift. It's just the reason I'm marking key levels is you can see where price wants to move to and where it has historically moved from and where it has where price has stopped moving down, say support, and it's moving up. Like the charts just show you where price is going to and where it has gone to in the past. But euro dollar, I won't be watching that too closely at least until CPI kicks in, because like I said, dollar news happen, dollar news will happen on Wednesday, which will trigger volatility with CPI, Consumer Price Index, and then I'll probably have a better idea of which direction the dollar pairs are going to be moving in. I've been caught out before where I don't mind trading before CPI if price action is very clear, because I hold trades for a lot longer and my stops are wider. There's chances that if I'm already in a trade and news kicks in, it will move the trade further in my direction, so it works out well. I try not to take trades a couple of hours before news. But I've just noticed that when there's a CPI week, the high of the low of the week won't form until Wednesday. On a normal week, it would form on a Monday or a Tuesday. Even on a Sunday evening, straight away as the market opens, as we can see here, market opened, the low of the week was formed straight away, and it never looked back, just tested that level and moved up. Euro dollar, again, I'll just have to wait for more developments on that one. Last but not least, pound dollar. So last week I took two trades. The Bitcoin one, right? The other trade I took was on pound dollar, which was for a small loss. I got caught offside, but anyway, let's break it down. So what I was looking at is, if I go back and just mark that as resistance, this would have been resistance at the time. So resistance level, and this was high of the month for July. So we've got the high of the month for July here. Just move that around a bit. Okay. So price actually pushed up through the monthly level, broke a higher time frame resistance level. Again, that would have been resistance, now turned support because it held above. If we go to the daily, what was I looking at? So here we go. Take out that. Don't need that at the moment. So why did I go short here? Well, a couple of reasons. Monthly level usually forms a sturdy support or resistance level. Pin bar, which was on, when was that? That was Friday. Another pin bar on Monday. So prices tried to move above, rejected, pushed back down. When I saw that, I was like, okay, cool. I'm on the lookout for anything that would give me a short setup. All right. Okay. So as price pushed above here on Monday, in my head, I'm thinking, okay, that could possibly be the high of the week forming. And then it's moved back down. So it's rejected that resistance level, rejected the monthly level. And I was kind of just looking for simple pullback, retest of that level to break down lower. And when I came to the charts on Wednesday, I tried to go long Bitcoin, which I've told you about earlier, if you stayed with me. And I tried to go short dollar. So took a short in this area here. Just a simple break and retest for, I was expecting with these lows left here, I was expecting price to kind of just test and then break lower down to that support level. That was the hypothetical idea. You can see that there was some sort of selling coming in here. So price did try and pull back down with some selling pressure, but the bulls are in control here. And I pretty much just got caught offside. If I show you where I actually entered. I entered this one a little bit late because I wanted some confirmation. So yeah, entered in there. When I first saw this wick on the first hour I entered, it's usually a good sign. And as I was watching the candle, price pushed down, and I was thinking it would continue. I would have removed risk as price hit the low of the range there. But it didn't even get that low. It just kind of hovered around here for a couple of hours and then just cracked on. So got completely caught offside on this one, on the wrong side of the market. It happens. It's part of trading. You just sometimes you read the market well, sometimes you read it the wrong direction. Just is what it is. So took a small loss there, which would have been absolutely inconsequential if the if the Bitcoin trade had have worked out properly as it should have. But hey, is what it is. So when I look at pound dollar, there was a level that caught my eye. If I go out to the monthly level, let's change that to support now because it's been broken above high time frame support, but there is a monthly level in here. I can just see. Thing is, when you trade, this is why I'm not an advocate of people jumping around from system to system, because however you trade, whatever matches your style and your character, you need to trade it long enough so that it becomes like ingrained in your mind and you're just able to see things, see patterns. And when you're jumping around from system to system, you start to not trust what you're seeing on the charts enough. So yeah, resistance right there. Let's put that in. Okay. Change that to resistance. Right then. The other thing I'm noticing is that there has been a sweep of these highs. But on the EMAs, have had this bullish crossover and price has kind of expanded out of this choppy region right now. But when I look at the bigger picture here, when I'm marking this, when I mark that in, so I'm just looking at this range, right? And premium discount. So if you don't know about premium discount or anything, if you don't know about premium and discount, this is just a short explanation. When price is in a range, which it is, simply you're buying it in the discount region because price is undervalued or oversold, and then you're selling in premium. It's quite simply buying low, selling high, buying back lower. It's that simple. So when I look at that on a higher time frame level, price is now in premium. And in premium, you probably want to sell again because 70% of the time, price is in a ranging market. It's not trending. On the lower time frames, of course, yeah, that's a trend. Like even on the weekly, you can see price is bullish. But overall, this is just one big range. And the chances of price breaking up and out are a lot lower than price being rejected at this level and pushing back into the range. So I've got that on my mind. But again, I'm not predicting. I'm looking at probabilities, looking at the patterns that happen, and just looking at price action in the moment. So if I go down to the daily, that's quite interesting because that's an early sign of exhaustion when I see a wick, another wick, another wick. And I'll say another term for high test wicks are selling tails. I like that. I like the term selling tails because it's a lot more descriptive than just a wick. It means selling pressure is coming into the market. That's basically what it means. And this just has early signs of exhaustion and a possible distribution. So again, I'll be looking for any kind of sideways price movement. But again, this is quite early, to be honest. There's not an awful lot for me to be looking at to be selling short or going long. Tell a lie. Let's have a look. Did just see something, so let's make sure I've got my alerts set for there, because that could possibly be a long from this area. Higher time frame support, create, and just want to check something from there to there. Let's have a look. Okay. Well, we'll see what happens anyway. Pound dollar is interesting just because of the area it's in. It's in a very premium level, top of the range. So could just push back into the range. Euro dollar, not that much interest, but we'll see what happens on the DXY as well. Euro pound, definitely keen to see if there's any kind of setups for a sell there, seeing as price has been unable to push and hold above this level. So if there's any lower time frame setups to sell there, that'll be intriguing. Aussie yen, again, just because of where it is at this level where the monthly highs have been historically just been pushed back down, and the yen basket as well. I'll be looking for some sort of inverse correlation on the yen basket. And that's about it for the week. I'll kind of leave it there, but thank you for joining. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to Kairos Talents Trading. I am bringing these weekly market breakdowns every week. And if you're not on Substack, if you are watching on YouTube and you haven't come across and joined my Substack, do that, because I write weekly articles as well as post these breakdowns. And that's where I pretty much hang out most of the time. Substack's a cool place. Got a lot of clever people, smart people there, giving a lot of value away. Well, yeah, that's it. I will leave it here because it is getting late. It's almost 10 o'clock and I need to get to my bed so I'm fresh for the week. But thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a great last week in the markets ahead. And safe trading. And check out my article tomorrow on Substack. And yeah, God bless, guys. Thank you for watching. Catch you soon.